Right, so this is the first video that I've done for quite some time, and it's a Python coding question to get ourselves back into things. And this particular question here has a class, and then it's got a constructor inside the class, and inside the constructor it's got a variable. The variable is called ID underscore, and then we create an instance of this class, and we do something here with a double underscore dict double underscore, adding a dictionary in effect with a key and its value. And then finally, at the bottom of the actual question is this print statement, and it says print s dot id underscore plus the len of s dot double underscore dict double underscore. And the question is what comes out of that print statement, and these are the options that we get thrown at us in the question, which is option number one, which is do we get 102? Option number two is do we get some kind of error? Option number three is do we get 100? And option number four is do we get something else? And at this point, I guess you could pause the video and kind of like think through yourself as to what we're going to get. But if you don't want to pause through the video, I'm just going to go through and actually run with it. So the first thing that I've got to do is recreate this class. But actually, one thing I'll point out is that maybe I'll go through this actually, because I've now got my pen tool working, which is this ID underscore. Now the underscore is just kind of like in the question. I think it just throws you off a little bit. Underscore, it doesn't actually need to be there. It could have just been ID. But anyway, this is our variable, and then we create inside of our constructor, we create a self.id equals id. So that just passes straight through and it goes into there. So when we do the instance of the class, this 100 feeds in and it becomes id, and then that feeds through to become self.id. So the s.id we would initially expect to be the 100, at least that's the thinking of it. The next piece really is this, is what is the len of this the len of s dot double underscore dict. Now I'm kind of like thinking here that a dictionary, it's a bunch of keys and values. So you've got a key and a value, and then you've got another key and a value and so forth. And when a class is actually created, so you've got key 1, value 1, and key 2, for example, and value 2, and so forth. Now, when a class is created, I'm presuming that, or at least I believe that the ID becomes the first key. So if we do an s.underscore dict, we've actually added another key, and that's really, I think, the question. So I don't think it throws an error. So I might rule this one out. And if that was the case, this length is not going to be 0. It's going to be the length of the actual dictionary. Now this is 2 items long, item number 1 here and item number 2 here. So I'm veering with this answer over here, which is 102. Now you could dispute that, maybe we'll think something else. Maybe it could be something else, or maybe it could be 100, but I'm going with this particular option over here. So we're going with the 102. But let's just see what happens. We'll actually build that and run it and see how that actually works out. So the first thing we'll do is we'll create a little code block, and we will do a class without a decorator, so sort of like a standard class there, and we will actually replicate it. We might as well just call it student for the sake of it. So student, and again with, I think it just says description of the class, so that's me. I'm going to delete this representation of the class, it's not part of the question. And you can see here like the default value, like I don't know, like in my snippets, it's basically an A here. I could have set whatever snippet I wanted, but it's kind of like it does. But A goes in here, but we're actually going to change this A to be this ID underscore, and over here we're going to change this A to be this ID underscore over here, and therefore we're going to, this is convention really, but now self.id. So that's all of that really was. We don't really actually even need the return part of the statement, because that's the end of the constructor as far as it's concerned, because Python works on indentation. The next piece is to create an instance of a class. So s equals student, And we see straight away when we do the brackets that we're prompted for this ID, and this ID is of type any. We could have actually said it's of type integer, and maybe we should have done something like that, possibly. But we're going to stick in 100 in here. So if we did say ID, we could have type hinted that it's an integer. There we go. And then if when we did create our student class again, it would say now its ID is of type int. So we put in the same 100 over there. The next piece is to create this dictionary, so s dot double underscore, and this is one of the magic methods, or the double underscore methods. I don't like the word magic so much, but this is one of the double underscore methods, and it lets us create a dictionary. But actually, just before we create the dictionary, should we just do print, I guess, of s. Now if we do print of s, I think we're just going to get the memory space of where s is. Yeah, we do. We get this like little block of memory space. But if we do s dot double underscore dict, and this is kind of like the clue to it, I guess, we can see that what we actually get is the dictionary of this class, which is just basically ID 100. And we could actually do this. So this is going to be the real clue, is we can get the length of this dictionary. Now I'm asserting that the length of the dictionary is 1 because it's got one element in there. The element is ID, and it's so this whole thing here is a key value pair. It's got one key value pair in there. So if we do print the length of that, I'm just asserting that we get the number 1, and yes, we do. So it's looking like, at least in terms of length of dictionary, that's what we might get. Now the other component of that is if we printed s dot and then its attributes. And here it's the attribute is the ID attribute, and if we did print s.id, we'll see that we get 100. So now let's just append this s. So we do s dot double underscore dict like that, and we give it a key value pair, and we just say hello is the key, and the value to hello is also hello. Say for example, we didn't have to do that, but we could do that. Now we've basically added an extra key into there. So if we do the s dot and then double underscore dict again, so we use that actual method and print this one out, what we see is that we get the ID is 100. Well, that was set to 100 because we created the instance over here that fed into the class, so that was fine. But we've actually added this extra key value pair because we've added it over here. So when we now do s dot, so we're going to do print s dot dot and then ID. Well, that's going to be 100, and then when we do the next piece, which is the length of the dict, s dot double underscore dict, the dictionary now is too long because it's got this element here and then it's got this element over here, so we've got two elements. So it's going to, well, I believe that we're expecting to get the 100, which is an integer, plus a 2, which is an integer. We can add them both together. That should be perfectly fine. So I think that that's why we're going to get the 102 up the top over there. So let's just run it and see. And indeed we do. So it kind of like debunks classes a little bit. I guess it's quite an interesting question. The return value of this was the 102 over here. So if you like this video, if you found it useful, hit the like button, thumbs up button, the follow button, share it with other people and all the rest. And thanks for watching. First video for a while. Cheers.